Hi, thank you for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to cover the design principle of balance. Hi, I'm Thayne. I'm a filmmaker, artist, photographer, and educator. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notification. Let's get right into it. We need to talk a little bit about visual weight. Visual weight is the ability of a region within a composition to give the sense of weight. Let's say we have two shapes. One is of dark value and the other one is a light value. Even though they're the same shape, the same size, the one with the dark value is just going to feel heavier. Alright, to kick this off, let's talk about symmetry and asymmetry. Looking at this example and on to the left, we see that we have two squares, same value, which is the lightness and darkness, the same size, and it's balanced, right? They seem to be equal. Versus on the other side, the asymmetry side, again we have two squares. They are the same size, but different values. The one that appears to be more heavy is the darker one, versus the other side, which is a lighter value, which seems to not weigh as much. Also, what we've got going on is, if you look at this a little bit more closely, again, let's start with the asymmetry. That playground teeter-totter, that balance, is right in the center. And on the other side, I actually moved that device, that balance, to the right a little bit. But when you look at it, it feels fine. It feels like it probably centered until you look at it a little closer and you're like, it's definitely not centered. Also, if you look at the lighter background, they are very large. But underneath it, the ground, that bar that goes all the way across the bottom, it's a darker value, appears to be heavy. It's smaller. It isn't as big as either of the two, but yet it feels heavy. Balance utilizes visual weight. Moving on to this next example, we have a vertical versus a horizontal. Again, we have visual weight that is occurring. So let's start with the one on the left. We have these horizontal bars, and still, even though we have this larger area above, the base, that dark, very dark bar at the bottom, seems much heavier than any or even combine all the bars above it. And then let's look over here at the one on the right. We have some different shapes that are happening. It feels very balanced. Each piece has a certain amount of weight to it. Take a moment and just look at this. It feels very much balanced. Here are two other examples, and it's very, very busy, meaning that there are a lot of elements in play. Very little place for your eye to rest. And what that means is, when there's a lot of different elements, your eye begins to become tired. Let's start with the example on the left. We can call this a bilateral balance. If you were to divide this example in half, the left side is pretty much the same as the right side. They balance each other out in this way. Now we could, if we wanted to, add other little elements in there that were not the same or symmetrical, and it still could have, for the most part, this bilateral balance. What we have is whatever is happening on one side is happening on the other side within the same piece, and they balance out. Looking on the right hand side, again, very complex. But you can see that we have this very tall, well, you can almost divide this on the horizon there, right? Because whatever's happening on the top is happening on the bottom, just in reverse. But also you could divide this on the vertical. Whatever's happening on the left is balanced by those things on the right. We have these very tall rectangles happening on the very edge. And on the other side, on the right hand side, we have some different shapes though that are much heavier. They might be shorter, but they kind of balance out in visual weight. There are things that are happening on the left hand that are happening pretty much on the right hand. And then, like I was saying before, if you were to flip it, look at the bottom, it's a duplicate, just darker. And if you look at the whole, it almost looks like, well, it could be some sort of cityscape or something with some water, and that's the reflection of the objects in the background. You could call this a bilateral balance. Whatever's happening on one side is happening on the other, even though it might not be the exact same shape, but the values balance each other out. It gives that visual weight. Looking at this final piece, you feel that there is a clear division happening just because we have that bar on the bottom and it's divided. I've introduced color. Now remember that color also has value. If you were to turn this into a grayscale, each of these red areas have a certain lightness or darkness to it. And in actuality, that's not 100% black. I added a little bit of green. If you compare that bar to the two spheres, those two spheres are actually darker. It's not quite the same. But we do feel this division that has the two spheres versus the section that has the three rectangles. And each one on its own balances out, doesn't it? It feels like that base is heavier on the right hand side. Looking on the left hand side, those spheres, you could feel the weight, but that red bar underneath it, even though it is a lighter value, definitely calls attention. And then just the whole piece together looks unified. It looks like it's all one piece. Kind of an interesting piece there. But I will recommend you look at a few things, and I'm hoping that you can stop this video and just analyze this for yourself. Did this explanation of the design principle of balance help you? Thank you very much for following my channel. Again, please subscribe, ring the bell, and share. You have a great day.